The sports world could be about to flip upside down. Not slowly, not over years, in a single deal. One conversation, one signature that could permanently redraw the map of women's basketball. And the strange part is that the people who could have prevented this were too busy squabbling to see it coming. There's a number circulating right now that barely sounds real, $1 billion. Not a contract extension, not a shoe deal, not a signing bonus buried in fine print. A full-scale attempt to pull away the most valuable asset women's sports has ever produced. According to reports moving through sports media and addressed on air by Stephen A. Smith, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is reportedly interested in Caitlin Clark, not simply as a player, but as the face of an entirely new venture. And they reportedly want Sophie Cunningham standing right beside her. To understand why this rumor has legs, start with a number that's easier to verify: $76,000. That's roughly what Clark earned in her first professional season, on a 4-year rookie deal worth about $338,000 total, for the player widely credited with pulling the WNBA out of decades of financial struggle. Attendance jumped. TV ratings broke records. Jersey sales spiked. Sponsors poured in. For years, the league's defense for low pay was simple: there wasn't enough revenue to share. Clark's rookie season undercut that argument almost overnight, and the pay gap between what she was earning and what she was generating became impossible to ignore. That gap is why a story like this gets traction instead of fading away. Smith didn't just mention the rumor in passing. He treated it as credible, and more than that, as something the league brought on itself. He's been openly critical of how Clark was treated since she arrived. The physical play that went uncalled, the Kennedy Carter incident, her being flown commercial while carrying enormous commercial value, her exclusion from the Olympic roster. What's changed recently is the tone: less frustration, more warning. His argument, roughly: a league paying someone $76,000 while she drives hundreds of millions in value can't expect to keep her forever, not when other money exists and is willing to spend it. None of the specific numbers here are confirmed. No contract has been signed, no press conference held. What's circulating is speculation from sports media sources, not an official announcement. But the shape of what's being described is specific enough to take seriously because it isn't framed as a bigger paycheck inside a similar structure. It's described as a different model entirely. Think less WNBA with more zeros and more the LIV Golf approach. A global, event-driven tour rather than an 82-game grind. Marquee stops in cities like London, Dubai, and Tokyo, premium production, no salary cap, and reportedly serious upfront capital. Enough, if the billion-dollar figure holds up, to outstrip what the entire league has paid its players across its history. That LIV comparison isn't incidental. It's the playbook. The PGA Tour once had total control over players, purses, and schedules. The Saudi fund didn't ask for a seat at the table. It went straight to the players with offers the old system couldn't match. Some took the deal, the backlash was loud, and eventually the tour that resisted had to negotiate anyway, because leverage had already shifted. A league with underpaid stars, visible dysfunction, and one player whose market value dwarfs her salary is exactly the kind of situation that strategy is built for. Why Cunningham specifically, and not a bigger name on paper like Breanna Stewart or Aya Wilson? Because this isn't about assembling the most decorated roster. It's about building something that pulls in people who don't currently watch women's basketball. Stewart and Wilson are beloved by people who already follow the sport closely. Cunningham has a different kind of pull, a strong social presence, a distinct personality, and a contrast with Clark's quieter, more clinical style that plays well on camera. Put the two together and, according to these reports, the chemistry is genuine rather than manufactured, which matters enormously for a made-for-media product trying to launch on a global stage fast. Then there's the institutional side. From the moment Clark was drafted, the environment around her looked hostile more than competitive: veteran pushback in public comments, rough physical play that often went uncalled, limited public defense from teammates or the league. Ice Cube's Big Three League had already offered her $5 million for 8 games before any of this. She turned it down to stay and compete for a championship. That history matters, because it shows she wasn't looking for an exit. She was pushed toward considering one. The stakes go beyond her own paycheck. The WNBA is currently negotiating major media rights deals with networks reportedly including Disney, Amazon, and NBC, built almost entirely around the ratings and attendance surge tied to Clark's arrival. If she signs elsewhere, that leverage doesn't just weaken. It could collapse the deal outright, which ironically would hurt the same veterans whose treatment of her fueled this story, since their own future raises depend on that same media money. What makes the rumor feel more credible than most is the silence around it. When a rumor is false, teams and agents usually move fast to kill it. Here, there's been no denial from Clark's camp, no statement from Cunningham's, and Smith keeps amplifying rather than walking it back. That could mean real talks are underway that nobody can confirm yet. Or it could be leverage. Letting the story breathe puts pressure on the league to fix the situation before it's forced to. Either way, the league finds itself in an unusual position. It was handed a generational, sport-transforming talent and responded with underpayment and a culture that let resentment simmer instead of building the infrastructure to keep her. Whether or not the billion-dollar figure turns out to be accurate, the gap between what the WNBA valued Clark at and what the market apparently believes she's worth is the real story here. And it's one the league will have to answer for regardless of how this particular rumor resolves.